where I am that can really be put into practice is in these tools of realizing what you're feeling, taking a moment, asking yourself what future you would do, and then do that thing. Do the thing. Just be future you.
Hey there, this is Unburdened by Hope, the podcast that helps you harness your possibility and fuel your purpose. I'm your host, Erin Cummings. Here, we're breaking free from the chains of hope and unlocking the power of inspiration within. Get ready to ignite your soul because we're diving deep into the art of letting go, embracing the unknown, and creating a life unburdened by the limitations of hope. Together, we'll uncover the secrets to finding purpose, fueling our passions, and crafting a vibrant existence that sets our hearts on fire. So, are you ready to burn it down what's no longer serving you and step into a life driven by possibility? Let's dive in, my friends, and unleash our boundless potential.
Podcast number 4, episode 4. Welcome. I'm so excited that you're back. Thanks for listening. I can't believe it's already like mid-July. I don't really know what's happening. I want to get started. I want to do like a kind of a part 2 of last week's podcast. So if you were practicing I am that, we're going to do a follow-up to this. A really awesome tool that I learned was to give yourself a mentor, a hero, a someone, and then it's like, what would so-and-so do? So a few years ago, I was kind of struggling with something that was going on in the business, and I couldn't make a decision on like what the next step was. And I had a mentor at the time that was like, Erin, like think of a celebrity or someone you know or someone that you look up to had this exact business. What would they do? And at the time it was like Chrissy Teigen had come out with like her line of cookbooks, and her pots and pans were in Target and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, I don't know, she had come to my mind. And so it was like for a week I went around, I'm like, what would Chrissy Teigen do? And I kind of like lived not fully like that because I don't agree with everything, but it was fun. It was fun to like almost pretend to embody this person and decisions that I made. And it was an interesting way to set an intention of being able to make decisions and know that I was okay because it was something I was working towards. So the part 2 follow-up of I am that is you can do A, pick a celebrity, but B, I am that. I am my future person who I am striving to be. So let me decide that way. And that's what this week is about. So stay tuned. I'm so excited that you're here. Be the person that you want to be. I mean, if that's not I am that, I don't know what is. So part 2 of this is truly showing up as the person that you want to be and that you want to strive for, and asking yourself, what would future me do in this situation? If I am working on patience, if I am working on empathy, if I'm working on kindness, if I'm working on being more assertive or being honest or whatever it is, and you have a situation come up, the question that you ask yourself, well, first of all, you tell yourself, I am that, because you learned it in this podcast, or maybe you learned it in yoga. And then you ask yourself, remember, because we had a question that came after, what would I need? What would future me do, say, think, whatever in this situation? And then you are that. You are that future you because you're working on it right now. And, I want to, add to this. If you're adding that other person that's not you, you want to create this future you as like a real future you, not like a Instagram influencer with like 1,000 followers and all of this kind of stuff. I mean, maybe that is future you. I don't really know, but it's not future me. And most of us know, if you're listening to this podcast, I assume that you are someone like me. And yes, I know that assuming is bad and it makes an ass out of you and me. And my therapist tells me every week that Erin, you do not know people's intentions. And I'm always like, yes, I do. You can't tell me what to do. Yes, I do know. But I'm assuming that if you're listening to this podcast and you're working on living purposefully and you're setting intentions in your life, that like having the most likes on Instagram is not what you're up to. You're up to something so much bigger. And that means future you is up to something huge. And future you probably wants the likes on Instagram. But if you do an Instagram post and it doesn't get all the likes that you thought, I am that. What would future me say? Well, at least I tried. At least I shared it. We'll try again. Let's start again. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Period. It's moments of true reality that I'm speaking to here. So for instance, we just got back from like a family vacation, a summer family vacation. And my kid left his iPad in the rental car. Okay. So we drop the car off. We get into the airport. In most situations, you have to like take a shuttle from your rental car to the actual airport. And then we've gone through security. We're sitting there. We had gotten there kind of early. And of course, my kid's like, "Where's my iPad?" And I'm like, "Not my iPad. I don't know." And then my poor child has this, his face just goes, it's not funny, but now it is. His face just goes completely white. And he was like, "Oh my God, I left my iPad in the rental car." And this is that moment that, like, when we were kids, like, my parents would have lost their shit. And it took everything, I think, in me and my husband to also not lose our shit, because I remember getting into the rental car bus to return us to home or return us to the airport. And he looks at all of us and he's like, "Okay, you guys, like double check. You have your cell phone, you have your bags, you have your driver's license." Well, he didn't say iPad, like me, of course, I go straight to like victim blame mode where I'm like, "Well, you didn't even say iPad. So like, how are we supposed to know that I'm supposed to remember my iPad?" But like, of course, I only thought about myself. Like, well, yeah, I got my phone and I have my driver's license. Like, check mark, we're good to go, man. Like, let's get this bus going. So we're sitting at the gate. My poor kid is just like in tears, just like so sad. And I feel for him. Like, to an 11-year-old, like that's like a phone. I can't imagine, leaving my phone in a place in which I might not be able to get it back. And it's, you know, completely out of my control at this moment to then go get it. And so that it's those moments of like, "Oh my God, mom and dad, I left my iPad in the rental car and we have an hour before our plane boards. What are we gonna do?" And this poor kid probably thinks he's A, gonna get his ass chewed, and then B, lose his iPad, which has all of his friends, it has all of his games, all of his, I don't, Roblox bucks. I don't know what they're called. It has all of this like history of his stuff on it. And it would be like losing all of your work emails or your projects that you're working on. I mean, it's a big deal to him. And so in that moment, it's those moments where this is where I am that comes into play. And you're like, "You know what? I can be really pissed off about this situation, but I don't need to like lose it." And listen, my kid is a lot like me. He is going to be way harder on himself than probably I ever could be on him. And so, in the middle of an airport at the gate is also not the time for me to just like chew this poor kid's ass out either. And so, it's like, okay, if I'm striving to be a better parent and not be, the mom that I had kind of thing, it was like, what would future me say? What would future me do? And it's just like, just do that now. Just do that now. Like, so I just looked at him and it was just like, okay, we'll figure this out. And so what was the next step? That's the thing. It's like, okay, what will future me? How am I feeling in this moment? I am that, realizing all the feelings that I'm feeling. And then it's like, what would future me do? And then you just do that. And then it was just simple, you know, so simple. Leave airport, leave the airport after you've gone through security. Go find the bus, go back to the rental car place, find the car that you were in, get the iPad, and then, oh yeah, take the mice maze all the way back to the car. But in reality, it's like, yeah, that's all that needed to happen. We didn't need to make him feel like crap because he already felt like that. And it's these real life moments of asking yourself, like, what would future me really do in this situation of like panic and frustration? But you have to have that moment of I am that, of presence, and realizing what feelings that you're feeling in order to make those decisions and to take the next step without like losing your shit in the middle of the airport. And I think that's the thing is, I want my kids to be able to look at my husband and I in a parenting situation like that. And then when they have something come up in their life in which it's like, oh my God, you know, their friend comes up to them and it's like, oh my God, I left my iPad in the rental car. They're like, oh, okay, well, yes, we got this. Like we can figure it out. And yeah, if, thank God Kyle and his long legs ran back to and back to the rental car to go get it. And my job was getting Kyle a bottle of water. Good job, honey. Um, but seriously, it's being able to also set an example for our kids, like in these moments of like, okay, we don't have to lose our shit. Like, we know this is a big deal. So let's just like skip that whole overly emotional thing and go straight to like figuring out the problem and then kind of deal. Once again, it's like figuring it out afterwards. It's like, okay, say this is where it all like comes to play, where it's like my kid says, I forgot my iPad in my car. And you don't just like how there's no hope here, right? So like once again, you have to abandon like hoping we're just going to get the iPad. Oh, don't worry, honey. Let's just hope someone finds it. No, it's in the middle of a rental car on an island in the middle of the ocean and we're not getting that shit back. So like hope goes away. If you want the iPad, we have to take action to go get it. So it's situations like this where it's like, okay, we're abandoning hope and we're putting real life actions into play and also not being like crazy overly emotional about it. I think like these are the big things. And if you don't have a kid and maybe you don't understand this analogy, but it would be the same as like your boss. I mean, I had a boss that used to take credit for shit all the time. And it back then I probably handled it not in a great way, but now it would be the same way. It's like, okay, if I just took hours to work on this presentation, I put this slide deck or whatever it is together, and you hand it over, and in the meeting, there's no credit given. It's like, okay, I am that. I know I'm really good at my job. I know that I'm smart and I'm courageous and I'm capable. Great. I am that. What would future me say in this situation? How would future me handle this? Because hoping your boss is going to change, not going to work. You have to take action and do something, but not in a overly emotional way, right? Say yes. Yes, I want to be future me. Figure it out afterwards. So I think where I am that can really be put into practice is in these tools of realizing what you're feeling, taking a moment, asking yourself what future you would do, and then do that thing. Do the thing. Just be future you, or be, what would, I don't know, whoever you're, maybe I love like Sarah Blakely and Jennifer Fisher and all these like super amazing entrepreneurial women. And sometimes when I'm in the midst of an entrepreneurial woe, the highs and lows of entrepreneurship, I do. If I can't seem to muster what future me would do, I like look to one of them. It's like, okay, well, what would she do? I'm just going to do that, because if that's who I'm looking to be like anyway, like just you can just jump ahead and it's like, well, I know she would say this, or I know she would do this, and then you just do that thing, and then boom, solution. And there's no hope. It's just action and attention and purposeful living, just like we all want. So this week, I am that continues into what would future me do. So let me know how it goes. I'm excited to hear who future you really is. So, but remember, future you is still also courageous, capable, and strong. So continue to be that.
Thanks for listening to Unburdened by Hope. Go to your favorite podcast app, hit that subscribe button, and leave us a review. If you got something out of our show, I'd love to hear from you. Send me your favorite takeaway or any questions you may have to info@erinccummings.com. You might even just hear the answer in a future episode. Remember, you are capable, you are courageous, and it's up to you to create what's possible.